This is Chubby. He's about 16 years old and he's wearing this yellow tag on his collar. That's radio frequency identification tag. And the story behind it is that it all started when Chubby began missing his litter box. He would walk in, put his front paws inside the litter box, but his back legs would stay outside and he would just pee on the floor. We started putting down pads to catch the mess, and we didn't know why he's doing that. Maybe it was his age, or maybe he just didn't know how big he is. It didn't happen every day, maybe once a week. But one day after one of those little accidents, we noticed that his pee looked red. That got us worried, so we took him to the vet. After some tests, we find out that Chubby has kidney disease. There is no medicine for it, but there is a special diet that can help. We have 3 cats, Panther, Tiny, and Chubby. And they have been using this automatic feeder for a while. The feeder is on a timer and dispenses the food during the night or when we have to go away. That worked great until now.
So Chubba got prescribed special food only for him. Is the special kidney diet, wet and dry, special for Chubba. And Panther and Tiny can have regular food like they always have it.
So we had to find a way somehow to keep their food separate. There are special feeders for that, but they're kind of expensive. And we wanted to reuse our feeders. We just needed some kind of lid that would open only for the right cat. We built a prototype out of cardboard. It's kind of like attachment to our existing feeders with a lid. And the idea was simple. Just the lid would open only for the right cat that came to the feeder. To tell the cats apart, we needed some kind of identification setup. We looked into a face recognition system, but it was too expensive, too complicated, and at this point the best option was radio frequency identification tags, like the microchips pets use, but our cats don't have microchips. They are range cats and they never needed to be microchipped. I actually bought one of those microchip syringes, the kind that veterinarians use to implant ID chips in pets. It comes with a large syringe and a needle that it's already loaded with RFID chip inside. It just didn't feel right to use something like that invasive on them. So instead I went with a safer and simpler option, RFID tags. They use the same technology, but there is no need for any injections. They are the same tags that farmers use for cows and sheep. They usually just clip them into animals' ears, but in our case we're just going to attach them to our cat collars. Here are the parts that we're going to use for our project. This is antenna. It makes invisible bubble of radio waves. This tiny board is the Arduino. It's a basically very tiny small computer, and we can plug it into a laptop and tell it what to do using a simple code. This one is a servo motor. It's going to open the lid or close the lid. And this is an infrared sensor. So here is how it all works together. The cat walks up wearing a RFID tag. The antenna reads the tag, usually it's a number, and sends the number to the Arduino. The Arduino checks the number and says, "Hey, this is Chubby," and then it sends the signal to servo to open the lid. While Chubby is eating, the infrared sensor sees that he's still there and keeps the lid open. And once he walks away, he waits a few seconds and closes the lid. Every time I sit down in the studio to work on a project, Panther was right there. He didn't waste a second. He would find me, jump straight on my lap, and settle like he had a job to do also. He really wanted to be part of it. And no matter what I did, was setting up the wires, testing a code, soldering tiny parts, Panther wanted to help. Panther was fully in work mode, very focused on quality control, just like his mama. And anything that ended up near the edge of the table had to be removed immediately. He had to make sure gravity still works. He stayed on my lap the whole time I was working and kneading invisible biscuits, and I thought I was in charge of this project, but clearly I was just the assistant. And Panther ran the biscuits, the scheduler, and probably the whole operation. And after hours and hours of work, I finally had to take a break and lie down on the couch. And of course, Panther followed, curled up on my lap again, making sure I didn't nap too long, and got back to the job. And even when I was testing RFID tags, Panther stayed close, still holding on my leg, and like he was in charge of the whole thing. And I think he believed it was his project too. And probably it was. I was just the guy who completing his idea. I was working on a small board for a power supply when Chubby wanted it in. He looked like he came to help, but the moment he saw my snowboarding clothes on the floor, he made himself comfortable and went right to sleep. I started by cutting the main housing for the attachment out of wood. It was lots of measuring, checking and adjusting to get the size just right. And once that was done, I began putting all the components together, making sure everything fit where it needed to go. And after that, I moved on writing the code for the Arduino so the system would know what to do when the tag is detected. Here is how it all looks. The antenna is mounted under the piece of glass, plexiglass, nice and secure. And right next to it, antenna module. And over here is Arduino computer and the servo motor that controls the lid. I started testing the system by bringing the cat color with RFID tag close to the antenna. And right away the lid opened like it should. And the infrared sensor is there to keep the lid open as long as it sees some object nearby. Now it was time for a full test. So I pushed the cat feeder into attachment, dropped a few treats in a bowl and asked Panther to come over. And he knew exactly what to do. He walked right up to the feeder, the lid opened, and he started snacking, so it worked perfectly. Panther and I were very excited. That was a good first test. And it was time to celebrate. To keep everything organized, I marked each RFID tag with the first letter of the cat's name. And then printed proper labels for each feeder. And once tags were ready, I attached them to the collars, nice and secure, just with some simple zip ties. Each cat got their owns, Panther, Tiny, and Chubby, all clearly marked. Then came the real test. Panther tried to eat from Chubby's feeder, but it stayed closed. And when he went to his feeder, it opened it right up. Then it was Chubby's turn. He walked up slowly, like he always does, and the lid opened. He got his snacks, and the lid stayed open while he was eating, so everything was working. Later we figured out that we could turn off the automatic feeder and use it for wet food. Because the lid closes tight, so food doesn't dry out. That way Chubby can eat his special wet food anytime he wants, even during the night. He also tried to get into Panther's feeder, but it did not open, so the problem was solved.
Also, we figured out that these RFID tags about the same size as the Apple Air tags. So we got him these collars that they have a soft rubber Apple Air tag holder, and it works very well. And Panther been wearing this thing already for a while, and it works really good. Let's see if I put again that thing. Yeah, he doesn't mind. There we go. And also it works better because the tag goes kind of flat, and the signal is much stronger. So the air tag, air tag holder works really well. We can easily fit that thing in there. Right there. This yellow one is for Tiny, and Tiny is right here. Let's see if I get it on the video. I know, come right here. The yellow one is for you. Yeah, very pretty. There you go. There you go. So it was a simple project, didn't cost us much. And Tiny and Panther have their own food, and Chubby has his own food, and everyone is well fed, happy, and they enjoying their retirement.